Yo, what's up? Hey, we're back. Volohine, Winds of War is the name of the game. The name of this new episode being DM'd by Asa is called Shifting Tides. I believe this is episode 8 that we're on.
Sounds
And
about right.
Asa has informed me that the amount of time that has passed since the climactic events at the conclusion of episode 7 at the ISCB Tower, it has been 2 years. 2 years have passed with our characters.
I tried to time
So,
that two up with when you said 2 years,
yeah,
and then
well, I
and then
kind of
and then it
dragged
felt
on a
like
little
I'm
bit.
sitting there just holding out, like just
Look,
waiting,
it was a,
checking my
it was
watch.
actually a peace sign. It was actually a peace sign.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was. Yeah, peace years,
So,
guys.
So yeah, from all of us here at the Roll for Mischief crew, we hope you had a happy holidays. I mean, this is the first that I'm seeing everyone, so I guess it's mostly from me. Happy holidays, and hope your new year is going well. And with the new year, we have pretty much an entirely new game.
Oh
Everything has
yeah,
changed, but nothing has changed.
yeah. That has been the
That's
tagline for
been
this
it's been
episode.
the tagline,
Everything has changed, but nothing
but
has
nothing has
changed.
changed. So yeah, go ahead and take it, Asa. We're ready for you.
All right, Asa is gonna take it away. So, when we last left off, Eigner had been captured by Vincent. Oh, what was the last name?
Vishoon,
Vashoon,
Vishoon.
one of the head mages over at the Bureau of Internal. What the hell is the name of the bureau?
International Spellcasting
International Spellcasting
Certification
Bureau.
Bureau.
Yes,
Certification.
yes, one of the leaders over there. International Spellcasting Certification Bureau. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
ISCB.
ISCB.
Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, so he kidnapped Agner and had him imprisoned, and was doing some pretty nasty torturing, uh, torturing that, as we come to learn, has damaged Agner's eyesight. However, 2 years has passed, and a lot of things have happened since we broke into that bureau and rescued that Agner. Uh, the first of which is that Agner's eyesight has recovered. It took some time, and a lot of that time was spent with someone they had also recently, or had let free shortly after freeing Agner, and that would have been Mr. Vishoon's wife, or now at this point ex-wife, since I don't think she was going to stay with him any longer,
Nope.
Ethel. Through much nurturing and time spent, Ethel was able to help Agner regain the use of his sight. Took a lot of money, took a lot of clerics, a lot of time spent in cold harbors. We are supposed to be level 8, yes. Yes. From what I understand, Theala and Halifax have spent a lot of time together, learning from each other, increasing their magical knowledge. Uh, you know, the city revolts. They got out of hand for a while, but a charismatic leader rose among the ranks, and she was able to put Garth in chains. And the man was sentenced, as he should have been, for all of his treasons, and eventually put into the deepest, darkest prison that the Twin Harbors had to offer. Twin Harbors is now a much more peaceful place in the 2 years following, with Emily at its helm as a leader. She was
Awesome.
voted into an actual government position, not a constable, not a sheriff, but she is the governess. Um, Around Agner's lands, the Druids have found a safe place. They have not only tried and disciplined the three that had tortured and damaged them so badly, but actually built a very solid structure for how to handle situations where Druids turn bad, and now have a very strict policy in place that strips those who abuse the power of the earth of that power and lets them wander without the help of nature. uh, what is a tax, right? Tax is the name of the or tax.
Ticks.
Tix, the
Oh
name of that
yeah.
Fae. Uh, Tix has never been heard from again, and even Zarkon. When his name was invoked in the bureau, uh, there was a lot of energy and a bright, bright light. And after that light was gone, Zarkon and Vincent were nowhere to be found. Presumably, they have escaped to some place, but have not bothered anyone in the last 2 years. A relationship was formed between the Silent Seas and the Twin Harbors, a lucrative trade agreement, and there is a dragon who does make occasional ventures into the Twin Harbors. Now, when she's there, she usually comes in the guise of a human being, as it's easier to walk the streets in a smaller form. But those who know her know what she really is. That being Eridu and Eigner.
Yeah.
Now, if you guys would like to take a moment, talk about what your characters might have been doing the last 2 years, expand a little bit further, talk about their feelings, be my guest. But I should also note one other thing has happened,
Mm-hmm.
and that's that after this whole mess with the Bureau, there was a summit reached in Twin Harbors between Dwarven leaders and Aasimar leaders, and a peace treaty was called, narrowly averting what could have been a very nasty war.
Good on them.
Let's talk about how people feel, what people have been up to for the past 2 years.
Okay. Does anyone have a strong feeling about starting this off or not starting this off, or
I'll jump in.
do it?
So Hilofax will have been spending the last few years wandering and trying to absorb the changes that have happened. Basically keeping an ear to the ground and an eye out, wary that something could snap and cause a whole lot of chaos very soon. A lot of things were witnessed, and a lot of people were moved about, and things had occurred, and so it seems strange to let go for Hilofax. So he seems to be anxious all the time that something's going on, while still trying to give an air of confidence. During that time, he's also done a little bit of magical investigations, trying to learn new tricks and spells that he can keep up his sleeves. Aside from that, keeping in touch with people, moving from place to place to try and keep the lines of communication open with people that he's met along the way. So he'll have kept in touch with Eigner and Thiala and Eridu as much as he can, and especially with Emily, keeping in touch with her.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly around Twin Harbors, with occasional sojourns outwards, just to keep in touch. So that'll be Hilofax. In a living room, rocking in a rocking chair, staring out the window, wondering, like, what's going on?
Sweet. Do you want to go with Thiala first?
Okay, so Tiel has been doing a few things. One of the primary things that she's been doing is she's taking this 2 years to really hone her ability to control fire spells, making them more impactful, making sure that she can just be in general be more effective. Mechanically, it's the fire element adept or whatever it's called feat.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, she's just been fine tuning her process. She's also been putting together spell scrolls, kind of translating them for wizards, uh, specifically to give to Halifax. She feels like there are some spells that he should actually have at his disposal that has caused problems, and that she thinks that as a wizard that he would be better suited to use than perhaps she would. She has also decided to stay behind and work with Emily to become and basically become a military advisor during the time in the 2 years behind, especially during obviously like the most intense riots and fighting and whatnot. So I can't say for sure if Emily has forgiven her or has accepted her, or if they become friends, or if she still hates Fiala. But she has stayed behind and been working on that.
I would say, over time, Emily and Fiala have been able to build a working relationship. There's a lot of things they disagree on,
Right.
but Emily values Fiala's knowledge and expertise, and does, especially in the military moments, does withdraw, and recognize Fiala's experience here, where Emily does not have the same training.
Right. She's good with the diplomatics. It's almost like a 1-2 punch where Fiala is the military, she's the brawn, and Emily is the brain, she's the diplomacy. So a good government is both military and diplomacy. So yeah, that's kind of what she's been doing. I'm not 100% sure. We didn't talk about Tinker's Tools proficiency, but she has been, not that she gains proficiency in it, but she's been kind of playing with the guns that she got. And so she's kind of just been learning how to aim, how to use it, become a little bit more comfortable, but that's not gaining proficiency, that's just narratively, that's what she's doing.
Cool. All right. So Eigner, for the past 2 years, so a lot of things really have been happening with Eigner, and the first among those is him having trouble with his eyesight and Ethel coming in to take care of him and to nurture him. And this probably all happens like Eigner got taken immediately back to his little forest retreat where the druids are, and a lot of time was spent in that recovery process. And through that recovery process, their relationship grew and grew even closer. And when Eigner was well enough to go out and about and see things clearly, and he found himself thrown into a kind of domesticated lifestyle. He is first spending a lot of time there, and I've actually come up with a name for his whole region where his home is. It's called Bronzewood Grove, because of the peculiar bright color that the bark of the trees give off. They almost have this reflective quality to them. Very just pristine, beautiful trees. So he's been more or less making a homestead and making a place where Ethel can be safe and be comfortable. And a big concern of them is making sure that she's off the grid and hopefully away from any of Vincent's influences. But thankfully, they haven't heard from him at all. Beyond that, developing a relationship with Ethel and creating his little homestead, he has also been spending time with his very begrudging, grumpy trainer named Merrick Oxhead. And it's been a while since they've spent time together, so this has been really good for Eigner to sharpen up and keep sharp with his training. And he's also been making sojourns into Twin Harbor to work an honest job as a blacksmith and just trying to make some coin. And Asa, if you will allow this, he will be using his coin earned blacksmithing. I actually did some math to figure out approximately how much he'd be making. He's going to use that coin to start construction of a trading post that'll be just outside of his home and the Druid's home in Bronzewood Grove.
Oh yeah, that sounds great.
Definitely. Yeah. So
Awesome.
so the Druids are also helping with their abilities to shape the land and respectfully build things in, on, and around the land. They're paving some roads to go out there to Bronzewood Grove, creating a modest trading post that can hopefully attract some merchants and travelers and whatnot. And also, this is the last important thing for Eigner. He has spent some personal time in the woods just behind where the trading post would be, and he's building a shrine. And if anyone comes to see it and asks what's going on, it is actually a shrine to the spider goddess that Eigner will tell you about. The only one the only thing through his imprisonment that was keeping him going was his mystical connection that he's formed to this spider being. And he can't tell you much about this spider being other than her name is Yarana. And this modest shrine made of a carved log in the shape of an amorphous being with many legs splayed out in all directions. Yeah, this is his tribute, and he comes here to pray very often. And even though he hasn't manifested any actual divine powers at all, he seems very centered and in a very spiritually solid place right now, which you guys have never really seen in him ever before.
And if I'm not mistaken, he has not once transformed into Spider Beast Eigner.
Oh no. He doesn't even know how to do that. I mean, he took the ring
Clearly,
off.
he
He
doesn't
no
have the
longer has
ring.
the
Yeah.
ring. He no longer has the ring, and he's never manifested any spider attributes since then.
Taking advantage of the peace of this 2 years has brought, Eridu has he left for a while and rekindled his relationship with Vilren, and in doing so allowed an alliance to be formed between the Tacantires and Twin Harbor, specifically not Garth, but the harbors itself. And when him and Vilren did finally return to Twin Harbors, they began a school in which Eridu has been teaching others how to still their mind and still their body, and through the martial arts, and has given up his life as an escort and now lives as a martial artist teacher.
All right. No longer a gigolo, huh?
No longer a
No
gigolo.
longer a gigolo.
And with the new lives our adventurers hold, and the love that seems to be kindling between Eigner and Ethel, we find ourselves on the day in which Ethel and Eigner shall be married. A ceremony that would be held at the Bronzewood Groves. Eigner feeling more comfortable getting married out of his own home
Of course.
than in some cathedral.
Fuck that shit.
Presided over by probably by Emily. She would be a person who would be very well versed in being an officiant.
Oh yeah.
And Eridu, not wielding a sword, because some best men don't need a sword to fight their battles of the groomsmen, will be Eigner's best man.
Of course.
I do not know if Ethel really had many friends. It seems like keeping her away from the bureau hasn't cropped up any old allies. So if Theala would deem to be her
Oh,
bridesmaid,
Eigner
or
definitely.
daughter,
Eigner would have asked Theala, like, "Come on, be cool about this. I'm getting married, goddammit."
Yeah, she'll agree. She'll be like, okay, I guess, like, if I could, like, who's the best man? Eridu?
Eridu.
Who's the second man?
Oh, definitely
who's the second
Hillowfax.
best man?
Definitely Hillowfax is my groomsman.
Max is a groomsman. Is he
Yeah.
next on the line, or is it, like, third on the line?
There's not many people in the wedding party. It's pretty much like this very closed group.
Okay. She'll take it. She's for sure not going to sleep with the Eridu. She might sleep with Halifax. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely making sure I've got spells prepared today, though. Have you guys not seen that backstory from Wreck-It Ralph?
No.
Well, no, not the first one or the second one.
The first one.
Oh, okay.
The really tragic backstory of that woman from Hero's Duty.
It's been a while.
Oh yeah, because the monster comes in on her wedding day, and then yeah, exactly. I wouldn't put it past Asa to do some shit like that. On this, the day of my daughter's wedding.
Right. So Eigner, shortly after this conversation with Theala ends, and I don't care how far Theala goes, she can be in the scene or not. The tree next to you see, like, you kind of hear it start to crack, and then it opens into like a red, glowing doorway, and out steps a rather tall figure, followed by a very short one. And as the portal closes behind him, On says, Eigner, it's been a while since I've seen you awake.
On?
Yes. Who are you expecting? Alton? Alton goes, why would he be expecting me?
To be honest, I was expecting neither of you.
Oh. Well, that's disappointing. You should always be expecting us. At least someone. Someone like us. Shouldn't he, Alton? No. There's no reason for him to know that we've come here.
On the last time I saw you, it didn't go very well.
No, it didn't go anywhere. I went somewhere, but it didn't go.
What I'm trying to say is, can I help you? I'm kind of getting married right here.
Oh, yes, I know. That's why we're here. We wouldn't miss our friend's wedding.
Okay, have a stump.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that you have many stumps. On will go and attempt to pick up a stump.
No, on, sit on it. Come on, okay. Look,
Alton puts a hand out, and Eigner, it's good to see you again. I hope things are going well.
It's good to see you again. I'm sorry if I'm being rude. I just don't remember inviting you.
Well, I tried to explain to On that that's the case. We weren't invited, and it would be rather rude. But he insisted that you're friends. At least he thinks you're friends. If you're awake, you're friends. I don't know what that's about.
Don't want to get into it right now.
You would be happy to have us here, because why wouldn't you be?
Yeah, why wouldn't I be?
Look, I understand. There was... Look, that was a long time ago. And I'm sorry that we just left. On had some compelling arguments that the more I looked at them, the more I realized were wrong.
Okay, that's all well and good, but trust has been lost. It's gone. And the thing with trust is that it takes just a second to lose it. It takes years to build it back up again.
And that's why I'm here. On's going to expect that everything's going to go back to the way it was, but look, we betrayed your trust, and I'm here to get that back again. I hope that we can be friends.
I am very open to it. Um, we can talk later. We kind of have a ceremony to get to right now. And at that point, I will look over across the way, and there is a couple of the druids there standing and looking on, and I'll give them this very discreet hand signal and a significant look, and they'll nod back at me in affirmation, and then I'll look back at Alton and say, "I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to have some of my friends watching you to make sure that you're not a security risk."
Uh,
Yala rolls up and says, "I can take a look over him."
You are the maid of honor, and you must focus on your duties in this ceremony. But I appreciate it.
I'll keep watch over him later then.
Very well.
Alden gives you both a look, and then nods and walks over and sits down and coaxes on into finding the way to be sitting on the stool rather than carrying it, or the stump instead of carrying it around in his arm. He's been walking up to people, going, "Look, I've taken a stump. Do you have a stump?
It's classic on right there. Classic.
I bet you my stump is bigger. Would you like to have a stump race?"
No.
Yeah, Eridu is going to come up to you, Eigner, and pat you on the back. And for the 100th time, congratulations.
Thank you.
We should probably begin with the ceremony. It seems that Ethel is getting impatient.
Yes. No, I'd like to get to it as quick as we can, and I need you to help me with Alton and On later.
Eridu gives you a look and looks in the direction you gesture, and then sighs deeply. And when he turns back to you to start speaking, you're distracted by a moment and don't make out the words because the person looking at you is not Eigner.
Wait,
But
not
is
Eridu?
not Eridu, sorry, but is Vincent Veshu.
Okay. So I get a reaction?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is going to be something that's not necessarily like, okay, so this is like me stepping in and saying like Eigner is getting a reaction that he can't control
Right.
right now. Like this is not really a conscious thing for him, and it's not a good idea probably considering what actually might be happening, or I don't even know. But essentially what happens is that as soon as Eigner sees Vincent's face on Eridu's body, or does it completely look like Vincent?
It looks like Vincent.
Like just like the
like
whole
wearing
body.
Eridu's clothes.
Oh, okay.
Looks like Vincent.
For sure. Well, in that case, Eigner's right hand will fly upward and just catch Vincent by that, and he'll start choking him and lifting him up off the ground just the slightest bit.
As soon as you do that, Eridu chokes. Eigner, what are you doing?
Don't lie to me! Don't lie to me again!
And it is Eridu you're holding now, not Vincent. I'm not lying.
All right. At that point,
Let me down.
yeah, he'll drop you, and then he'll just go into like straight freak out, like hyperventilation mode, like really just saying like, "Oh my god, am I crazy? Oh my god, and then without saying a word to Eridu, he'll turn and walk very quickly away. And since you guys have been here to the grove before, you'll know that the direction he's going to is to the shrine of Yorana.
Okay. Well, Eridu's gonna run to catch up with him. Eigner, what was that about?
Your face, you look just like Vincent. It was so vivid. I thought it was really him. I thought you were really him. I still don't know if you're really him.
Well, you can trust that I am not. You know we have druids searching for him. You know the bureau has done all that they can to try to hunt him down, him and Zarkon. But this place is too well protected. I do not think they will try to attack here. Eigner, you're safe.
I don't know if anything is real, and you can't understand. When I was imprisoned by him, I didn't know if anything was real, if I was real. My world was broken apart, and it just seems like I can. And at that point, he keeps walking until he gets to the shrine.
Eridu, yeah, he'll kind of fall back a few steps, and then, the next thing Eigner's alone at his shrine.
And he will sit and fervently start praying and just try to start to quiet his mind.
While Eigner is praying, Eridu will return to the wedding party, bringing Emily, Ethel, Theala, Halifax all together. There's something wrong with Eigner. And Emily will kind of give him a sideways look, and he's not ready for this. This is too much of a commitment for him. I should never have asked him to marry me.
No, I don't believe that's the root cause of all of this. Must be some other reason for Eigner's reaction. I've not spent as long in his company as I have in Eridu's or Theala's, or yours, Emily. But Eigner Bosch, in the 2 years that I've known him, has never been one to act so passionately without there being a good reason. Give him time.
I agree, Emily says, and she puts an arm around Ethel and she says, he loves you. He would never have second thoughts. There must be something else going on. Eridu, tell us what happened. And Eridu recounts to you the story of him choking him and explaining that he had seen Vishun's face. He'd seen Vishun where Eridu was, He seems to feel that the wizard still has some sort of control over his mind, over his perception of reality.
Oh, who's part of this group circle right now? Is On and
No.
Alton?
No, On and Alton are, they're sitting with the guests,
They
Right.
wouldn't be considered a part of the group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got some work to do to gain the trust again.
Well, those two over there, who are they? I don't quite recognize them.
You're seeing On now, he's got his stump and he's measuring it to Lauren, trying to figure out who's taller.
It's an odd
That
fellow.
is, those are old companions of ours. Alton and On are their names. They had left our company for some time, and we never thought we would see them again in a welcoming way. At least not On. I had honestly thought that Alton had followed him and maybe killed him, but seeing them together is troubling.
I'm concerned that former companions, potentially dangerous ones, appear on this very same day. That it turns out Eigner has a vision. It's coincidental. It could be nothing. I wouldn't want to start a fuss. There's still something to look into.
It is concerning. What say you, Theala?
They did. I mean, Halifax is right. They did show up after, I mean, there was nothing wrong with Eigner before they got here. It's not a unreasonable assumption, or at least maybe perhaps option, that they're involved in somehow. But we don't have enough intel to really act.
This is where Ethel chimes in and she says, I wouldn't say there's nothing wrong with Eigner. He doesn't sleep well. He hasn't ever. Most nights he goes to his shrine to pray. This isn't the first time he's thought he's seen something that wasn't there. At first I just thought it was his eyes, recovering from the blindness, from the torture that bastard did to him. But I don't know anymore.
Well, it is possible that you may have recovered Eigner's eyes, but they're from whatever spell casting was put on them to blind him, but maybe that was just to hide the real, if you will, curse placed on him. It's something that we, have experimented with in the past, and to varying degrees of success. The idea of tearing down an opponent after they've left us. Torture is generally considered an ineffective intelligence gathering tool. It is, however, effective in psychological warfare against an entire community. The effects of torture are long-lasting, and at best, the survivor has problems. At worst, they kill themselves, and that tears the community apart. This could be something not too dissimilar.
I agree, Theala. Eigner's out of sortsness is rending our company rather ineffective at the moment. We're stood around trying to discover what the cause of his concerns are. That's caused his sudden passionate outburst. This would be the opportune time for an enemy to strike. Very effective tool.
At this point, Eigner will start walking back from the shrine and entering your eyesight, line of sight.
Okay. And Emily will start by, she would start saying, and all this time we're just deliberating, Eigner is alone at a shrine to some god that none of us have ever seen. And then she looks up, catching Eigner coming into the clearing. Eridu's gaze follows hers, followed by Ethel's.
I wonder if God is the right word. I mean, maybe a great old one of some kind. They can seem like gods to many of us.
Eigner will be getting close enough to hear that, and he'll look at Theala and say, "She is beyond our understanding." And very matter of factly, he'll lock eyes with Theala, Halifax, and Eridu, and he'll give you this motion as he just keeps walking past you. And he's actually walking into the throng of guests to the stump where On is measuring his stump against every other stump to make sure he's got the best stump of them all. Um, so he'll walk up to the pair of them, and he doesn't look back to see if you guys are following him, but he's just like assuming that you guys followed him to back him up.
Yeah.
And and he stands in front of On and Alton, and he says, "I'm very sorry, gentlemen, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to leave. My suspicions were correct. You are too much of a security risk to be here. So please, out the way you came."
On opens his mouth to protest, and Alton looks at him sharply and says, "No, On, he's right. This is his wedding. We have intruded. We should leave."
He glares at On like he's appreciative to Alton, but he doesn't acknowledge Alton in that way. He's just glaring at On. "Just don't trust you, magic
On
user."
just kind of looks back, like meets your glare, and there's a moment of you can tell something is going through his head, some kind of onism, and then he grabs a oh gosh, what is it you've been using in this ritual, Drew? Is it a gem, right? That you crush?
Yeah, Jim.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. He grabs a gem and crushes it and just pushes it against the nearest tree, and another opening spreads, and he gives Eigner one last, just kind of sorrowful look, and steps through. And Alton says, "I'm sorry, we've been a bother," and leaves as well.
As soon as they leave, Eigner just says under his breath, but it's loud enough to where other people can hear it. He says, "They know what they did."
Dell looks a little sad to see Alton go. Not like sad, like his, but she's like a missed opportunity sad.
Yeah.
Give my intrusion, Eridu, but what did On do to Eigner?
I do not fully know. I was preoccupied at the time that there was a falling out. Because I'm remembering right, as a player, Eridu was not actually around to hear any of On's conspiracy theorists,
right.
theory stuff about Eridu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eridu should, in theory, so long as Alton hasn't gone and spoken to him since.
Oh, no,
Eridu
he would have for
highly
sure.
in the dark. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't really know any of it.
Well, I mean, he would have shared. I'm sure they would have shared their information together. So between the two of them, they would have
Mhm.
put something.
Yeah, but between
Well, there's a
Eigner-
lot that Alton learned that none of us figured out because he followed
Yeah.
us. And that's
Yeah.
what the reveal was. But we did, like, I don't even think Eridu really understood why On was in that moment that sort of split them up in the first place.
Mm.
He still had a very positive outlook on even after all that stuff happened.
For sure.
But
And Eigner like knows enough, and he's the thing with Eigner is that Eigner has seen On in a very manipulative and deceptful light, and has no reason to trust On. Has had issues in the past with On's use of spells.
oh
And,
right.
Yeah, has had major issues, ethical issues, and all that, and just in general has that fear that comes from not understanding. So in this situation, it's totally logical for me that he doesn't know what On is capable of. He doesn't trust On, So he's just going to leap to this conclusion of like, it's probably On that did that to me with one of
Yeah.
his fucking crazy spells or something. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Emily will look at the party then and say, "With that settled, is it time for the ceremony to begin?"
yes, please. There will be no
Alright.
more distractions anymore.
Yes, do not let us ruin this rather auspicious day.
So, as you as you all make your way to the front, everyone takes their position, and Emily starts the speech. We are here to witness as two great people join their lives together, and she begins her, her speech and going over the aspects of your lives that are make you the independent individuals you are, and how you will strengthen each other as you grow. Um, and she gets to the vows that each of you has prepared. Ethel begins with hers, um, promising to always love you, and that all the power she possesses is at your disposal, and all these flowery words that usually are tied into some sort of magical euphemism.
Hmm.
And then it turns to Eigner to give his prepared vow. And when you set your eyes on Ethel, contrasting her white dress, her skin is black and cracked. Her eyes bloodshot, her hair gone, her lips dry and split.
Okay. Egner will have his mouth open to say his first words, which was going to be something really cheesy like, I will be your protector, I will be your sentinel, I will be your hearth and your home. You know, like really, really cheesy stuff. He was gonna let out all of that. But then he sees Ethel like this, and he just lets out like this kind of like kind of sound, and his hands start shaking, and they lift up, and his eyes are going wide, and his first thought that he has is to go out and just grab Ethel's shoulders, and in this moment he summons all of his will and his mental energy, and he's done this kind of action many times before where he's trying to recall his ability to lay on hands and to heal. Like he's done that with On before, actually, when On was like battered and broken and almost dying, and he was like, "I want to save you, On," but he's never had the will and the feeling to do it more than right now. So he just channels all of his feeling and all of his will, and he holds Ethel by the shoulders and just tries to heal Ethel.
uh, I would like you to make me a roll.
Okay.
Add your religion to it.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Hiya.
There.
It's an average roll, and my result of the average roll is 13.
Okay. Ethel's eyes get wide at first, just with that look of terror on your face. She says, "Eigner, is everything?" And then you grab her shoulders, hard at first, and it sort of like shakes her into silence, and and then you kind of calm, and you feel something inside you moving. You feel that you are growing, and As you do, you look down and you see your body turn into that of a spider's, legs protruding from your
No.
abdomen. Um,
No. What?
but looking at Ethel, like the cracks and scarring and burned flesh are gone, and she's actually has her eyes closed, uh, and just a look on her face of just pure joy. And she just says, "Eigner, this is beautiful. Never felt anything like this from you before." And you realize your hands are glowing with warmth as you are pouring energy into her. No one around you seems to have reacted at all to your body changing shape. No one
Uh-huh.
seems to notice. Emily begins to go
Ourselves
on,
included.
yourselves included.
Okay.
In fact, if it helps, aside from the look of shock on Agner's face, now he just has he's intensely looking into the face of Ethel, but his body is exactly the same.
Okay.
And you see his palms glowing in a light underneath his hands.
So Eigner at this point, once he starts to see the confirmation in his hands and sees the lay on hands actually taking place, he'll find a spiritual center just come out of nowhere, and his face will regain more of a normal look to it, and as best as he can, he'll just while the glowing is going on, he'll recite his vows as he has prepared them. I will be your protector. I will be your sentinel. I will be your hearth and your home. Blah 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 blah. Cheesy cheesiness as it goes on. And then when he finishes the vows, the glowing will stop, and he'll slowly take his hands off, and yeah, just try and regain some sense of normalcy.
Um, Drew and Josh, will you two roll me a perception check?
Uh, 15.
Got a 21.
Okay. Both of you will see it then. Very faint in the space beneath Alton's hand or Agner's hands when he takes them away. There's a very faint outline of an hourglass, but like just the yeah, it's a bad drawing. Just the like that kind of hourglass.
The Black Widow.
Yeah. And the top is darkened while the bottom is white.
Okay.
And Emily continues to go on with the ceremony as usual. Eigner doesn't even see the body of the spider any longer. As soon as you began to speak your vows again, you went back to your human form. And the ceremony progressed as usual. Afterward, there's a large banquet. It was the job of the druids to provide as much food as possible, and it's quite the ordeal. People are happily eating. They keep coming up to Eigner and telling him how lovely it was, and how amazed they were at his show of affection.
Eigner will play it off as best he can and say, "Yes, it was an incredibly emotional experience for all of us. I'm sure." And he is starting to slur his words just the slightest bit because he has, of course, made a special homebrew, very like gnarly hop-filled beer, and he's been just chugging back a lot of the hoppy delights.
Mm. Eating turns into drinking. Drinking turns into dancing. Eigner and Ethel get on the floor first, and by now have gotten well into into the hops and perform the most graceless opening dance that
Oh.
has ever been performed at a
Eigner makes
wedding.
a fool of himself, man.
It is quite wonderful. Eridu and he does the Eridu thing and he begins dancing with Vilren and then dances with Emily. Eventually dances with Theala. Takes Halifax for a second. Uh, he just makes his way across the dance floor, having a good time. What are you two doing?
So
Dancing, huh?
Nala walks up to Halifax and says, there's an old wedding tradition that the bridesmaid and the groomsmen celebrate the wedding privately.
I shall find some nearby drinks, grab 2 of them, and pass one to Theala.
So she grabs the drink and kind of like pours it into your mouth and then drinks a little bit and says, "Good idea. If you'd like, I could roll an intimidation check for that."
I think
Go
that
on,
means
that
Theala's putting on the seduction.
I think we're gonna have Halifax and Theala sneak off and find
Okay.
a tent.
Oh my god, what? At my wedding? Really?
Scandal.
Oh my god. You guys keep it in your pants. Jesus.
Eigner has found himself a line of drunken friends and has been doing just the goofiest dance with all these people having a great good time.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is, a clunking sound, and you hear a voice behind you, Eigner, say, "Eigner, may I have the next dance?" And as you turn, you see a large metallic body standing before you, the frozen features of a warforged that you know to be possessed by the spirit of Zarkon.
Wait.
Hmm.
Wait, I'm trying to figure out how much. I'm trying to. I know it's Zarkon, but it's like, when did Eigner?
He would have seen Zarkon at the very end
He wouldn't have seen him as a.
because he was blind. That's right.
Well, yeah. Well,
But-
so
okay,
more than anything, it's him recognizing
recognizing the voice. Yeah,
That's-
I was to say you wouldn't know the form. But you
Yeah,
recognize the voice.
so he wouldn't know the form, so he would be a little just shocked at the whole like metal form thing. But yeah, so he would recognize Zarkon's voice, and at this point, Eigner, punch drunk at this point, he will feel like punching some things, and he'll just whip his hands up and be like, "Zarkon, I've forsaken you years ago. What are you doing here?
Now, that's no way to greet an old friend.
Old
Make
friend,
me
my
an
ass."
appeasement grapple check.
Grapple check? Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to give myself disadvantage for being drunk enough.
Go for it.
I got a result of 10.
Zarkon scoops you into his arms
Oh dear.
and begins to dance with you
Oh my god.
and says, "We haven't seen each other for a long time. Why not show some pleasantry?"
Eigner will start yelling out to the druids and say, "Intruder! Remove this creature!"
I don't think you'll get much help from them. And as you look, you see that no one in the party is moving. Everyone is staying 100% still. Drinks have stopped flowing in their track. Someone has dropped their plate of food.
Is that
and
just
it
an
is all
immediate
still What?
Just in the immediate area. Like now that the party's died down, can you hear Theala and Halifax?
No, no, not at all. I mean, time has stood still. Except,
Here's the twist: you hear Halifax louder than Theala.
I think that sounds about right. His
Yeah, that's not a
permeating
twist.
the night. Uh, however, as you're looking at the party, you do see this same hourglass symbol faintly, like it looks like it was, like a burn scar,
Uh-huh.
or it's just a little bit lighter, or yeah, lighter than the flesh. You kind of see that symbol now on Ethel, on her arm where your hands were at.
Uh-huh.
And though everyone in the party is frozen still, uh, there's a little bit of the top party, like I said, is all filled in. It's trickling down slowly, and the bottom of the hourglass is filling as the top gets to be a little bit more empty.
On Ethel's arm.
Yeah.
So I'll look at Zarkon and just slur my words a little bit and say, What have you done?"
He gives you a little pirouette and pulls you back to him and says, "This is nothing. You should have accepted my bargain when I offered it. I'm simply having some fun."
"Why must you keep tormenting me?"
At this point, Eigner, aren't you just tormenting yourself? You know you can make this end.
"By accepting you? Never."
I don't need you any longer. I have this body. No, Eigner. You can make it end in much more interesting ways.
"Stop speaking in riddles."
He stops and firmly sets you down. And then he draws the sword from your sheath, the one that you took from his tomb, and presents it to you and says, "You know how to make this end. You have seen the visions. You know the choice you must make." And then you recall the dark vision in the sage's tomb, with your friends lying all around you dead. A voice speaking to you in the darkness.
"You can't be serious. That was a fever dream, nothing more."
No. It was a bargain. One you have not paid the price for yet.
"I won't do it. You're asking me to kill my friends. They're the only ones keeping me safe from the likes of you."
Oh. When you remember the terms, maybe you'll remember what's really at stake. And with that, you hear a clang of metal on the ground. Zarkon is no longer there. The party has resumed around you, sound flooding your senses, and your sword is lying still on the ground.
I will take a moment to gather my senses, see my surroundings for a little bit, and I'm going to say that I'm on like this kind of outer edge of the dance floor, closer to where some trees are. And instead of reaching down to pick up my sword, I'll just take the tip of my toe, put it underneath the blade, and just kick it into the trees where it goes clattering. And I'll leave it there for now and rejoin the party.
All right. I need to take a quick restroom break. Give me just a second.
Okay. So, audience poll. Has Eigner finally gone absolutely crazy, or is Asa just a narrative storytelling genius? We'll Well, what do you think? What's more likely? No, I think Eigner is fucking batshit nuts, dude. Like it's just maybe the
I think Eigner is completely sane. I don't know what you're talking about, Kyle.
what?
We've been in a dungeon tunnel fighting giant ants for the last half an hour. What do you
Oh,
think's been going on?
wait. I'm getting married, bitch, dude. Not on my wedding day. Gosh, guys. Yeah, no, but seriously though, this is very much I don't know. It's very head trippy, and it's kind of like leaving the door open for absolutely anything. You know, at this point, I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, is Asa gonna say that like all of the last 8 episodes of this game have been like a crazy dream that Eigner had, and we all wake up and we're actually like just peasants living in a different town or something. Like, it's like I'm ready for that even. Ready for
Also,
anything.
level 1.
Yeah. Would
New
have been a good
character
one.
or same characters start at level 1.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And actually, you don't get class levels. You're just a peasant. So you're just
Right.
yeah.
You gotta earn your class level.
Yeah.
Is this what you expected me to do
Yeah,
now?
I was just saying that this whole thing is so head trippy that it leaves the door open for like literally anything. Like the past 8 episodes could be a crazy dream that Eigner had, and we're actually just a bunch of peasants living in some different town or something like. Yeah.
Crazy fever dreams.
Yeah, seriously.
So after you kick the sword away, you feel a hand on your shoulder and a voice in your ear. Honey, the guests are leaving, and I'm cold.
Yes, of course. We'll retire. Yes. Let us say our goodbyes.
She says, you say your goodbyes, and be quick about it. I'm gonna go change.
Very well. I shall not be long.
Question.
Yeah.
How many bedrooms are in the area?
I mean, it's probably a decent amount. I don't know how many homes built up around there. It's mostly druid,
You guys,
awful kind of stuff.
yeah, you guys probably went to the trading post. There's an
Okay.
area in the trading
I
post to
I want
crash.
to make sure that we weren't like the only option was to go to Eigner's bedroom.
No.
Oh,
no.
that would be bad form.
That'd be bad form. And then you would say like, okay, the crazy visions were one thing, but this
Of
This
all
the-
the disturbing things I've seen tonight,
this is the most disturbing of them all.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, no, you guys could take the trading post. That's why I built it apparently.
Cool.
I built it as a love shack.
I don't want anything to break my concentration. I've got some innovative uses of unseen servant that I want to try.
Yeah.
Oh man, mage on bard lovemaking.
Oh my
is gotta be
God.
interesting.
You guys are savage.
Who said
Savage.
love?
I knew there
Yeah.
was a useful mage hand.
All right,
It's
so
we're at the trading post and far away from the earshot of everybody else.
yeah, definitely. So Eigner at this point he will be saying goodbye to the guests. You know, cleaning up a little bit here or there. He'll try and keep his composure, and then also he's going to just make a mental note of where it was that he kicked his sword away. He'll go over there and just check to make sure that it's still there, but he's not gonna touch it quite yet. And yeah, once everything is taken care of, he'll ask the druids very graciously to clean up the last little bit of things so some wild animals don't come in and wreck the place later. And then he'll head off to his marital bed.
I think before he leaves, Eridu will be like kind of be outside the line of the party, and as Agner's leaving, he'll kind of step in stride with him and Eigner,
Eridu,
how are you doing?
feeling better now that all of that is over.
No, stressful. These things can be sometimes, I know.
Yes, and he looks around and makes sure that no one else is in earshot, and he'll say, "Yes, and the visions were a bit overwhelming, but I'm confident that they are gone now.
Visions.
I saw Zarkon again.
Really?
I thought I had left him behind years ago, but
As did I.
he was here, and he reminded me of something that I thought never happened at all. It's all very confusing, but I told him that I don't deal in riddles, and I'll figure it out in the morning. But for right
There,
now,
dude.
I'm fine.
Eridu puts a hand on your shoulder. Good. Rest assured, friend. I would not worry too much about these visions. It is probably just a taxed mind under a lot of stress.
You could say
Planning
that
for a
again.
wedding. All these things. It's a lot. You have done very much. You deserve to take a rest. And he holds you into his arms and gives you a great big hug and says, "Now go and enjoy your night with my wife."
At that, he'll just like push Eridu away and say, so when he pushes Eridu away and looks at his face, does he still see Vincent?
Yeah, it's Eridu, and Eridu's looking a little puzzled.
Oh, it's Eridu. Okay.
Yeah.
And at that, Eigner says, I'm sorry. I just misheard you. Thought you said something else. Good
No,
night.
I was
Good
just
night.
telling you to enjoy your night with your wife.
Okay. Good night. Goodbye. And he'll walk very awkwardly away from Eridu.
All right.
Imagine
And with
that's going to be
that-
a similar walk that Halifax is going to have the next morning.
It's going to be way more painful.
With that, Egner returns to his marital tent to consummate his wedding, and consummate his marriage rather. And we got about 5 minutes left, but I think that's a really good place for us to stop today.
Yeah, agreed.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
That was something.
Wow, dude. All right, I'm starting to like actually take a bunch of notes about stuff, and there's like stuff I gotta take notes about for this one for sure.
Yeah. No, that was. I liked a lot of the ways that the visions were seamless enough that the rest of us can just like be seeing everything normal and everything's very Eigner's point of view. Like none of the visions like interacted with anything else outside of Eigner without being too obvious that they weren't. It was good.
The Zarkon was the most interactive outside of Egner, for sure. And I gotta pat myself on the back for the build-up, because I very much thought about how those scenes would come into play, because of all of them. I started out with just like a little visual thing, and then another visual thing that was bigger, and then the Zarkon thing, which is like the climax of all the vision stuff. But ending it on that comment with Eridu
Yeah.
was so intentional because it brings it back to probably the most simple of the seeds of doubt
Yeah.
in all of them.
Oh man. Are
And
you?
and of all of them, the one that's hardest to reconcile with truth and fiction.
Dude, are you trying to make Eigner crazy? Because that's how you make Eigner crazy.
I'm not trying to. Maybe I am. We'll see.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. All right.
But with that, thank you for tuning in, watching this episode of our finale for Star Trek Adventures, and the very first part of Winds of War, episode 8, Shifting
Tides.
Tides.
Shifting
Tides. Thank you. I almost said Shifting Sands, but that wasn't right.
Wow.
No. I'm excited to see where this goes. I
Me
think
too.
that was a brilliant start.
Yeah. No, me too. And
Agreed.
Eigner's a married man. It's nothing but sitting on his butt watching magical TV and and becoming slowly more politically conservative over time. For
There will
Eigner.
there will be no more adventures in the life of Eigner.
No
now
more
that he is
adventuring.
married. We can
Yeah.
guarantee that.
We can guarantee no more adventures for Eigner. Domesticated lifestyle, all the time. All right.
New character for Kyle.
Yeah.
He's the only original character.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Or
Well,
is
hey, thanks for watching, everyone.
Yep.
What a
Thank you all
blast.
for watching.
We'll see you
Bye.
next week.
Take care.